Hello, RU family. It's Brian Braddock here in Florence, South Carolina. And I know many of y'all in the Rockford area, but it's been quite some time since I've been there. I think about 6 years ago. And just wanted to share a testimony of what God's been doing in my life since I left Rockford, or really since the beginning. I went to the Reformers Unanimous Men's Home in 2006, in November of 2006, a couple of days after Thanksgiving. And at that time, I was hopelessly addicted to opiates, pills, cocaine, and I was facing a couple of felony charges. I was close to losing my family. I had a wife and 3 daughters at the time. I just lost my house. My house had been foreclosed on, and my car was about to be repossessed, and life was completely chaotic. I'd gone to my first RU meeting a couple weeks prior. At my first meeting, I sat in my car in the parking lot and smoked about a pack of cigarettes. I never even walked in the door. And then the man that had invited me, Brett Butler, asked me how it went, and I told him, gave him some vague answers, and he realized that I had not actually gone into RU, so he decided to go with me the next time, and I went and I heard Steve Currington say that you cannot fight a fleshly appetite with a fleshly weapon. And that's when things changed for me. I realized that I couldn't get off of pills by using pills. That's what they were telling me at the doctor's office and with counseling. And so I was about to lose everything at that point. But I went to the Reformers Unanimous Men's Home. I graduated on Mother's Day of 2007. I left there with a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. I got to listen to Steve Currington and Ben Burks and all the men at chapel, and then I came home and was here for a couple of years. I got convicted of 4 felonies when I got back from charges during my drug addiction. And then when I got arrested, when I got convicted the second time, I lost my job and I was working for myself, and then I got called into full-time ministry. Went for my church and turned over my life to full-time ministry, and a few weeks later got a call from Steve Currington to interview for the Dean of Men at the men's home. So in 2009, June of 2009, me and my family moved to Rockford, and I served there as the Dean of Men for a little over 4 years. Steve Currington passed away while I was there. He was a close friend and a mentor, and after that, I continued to work at the men's home for about a year after his passing. And then me and my wife were expecting our 4th child, our 4th little girl. We have Hannah, Haley, Hayden, Holly, and Hope now. But we were expecting Holly, and we wanted to move back locally. And so we moved back to Florence, South Carolina about 7 years ago. And it was at that time that the man that I had called, who was my one phone call in jail when I got arrested initially for drug possession, a guy named Dean Lisenby, called me and told me about a position with a local homeless organization called the House of Hope. And now I've been at the House of Hope for a little over 6 years, serving the local homeless in our area. Last year we served close to 1,200 different homeless men, women, and children. And one of the men on my staff is Mitch Gowan. Me and Mitch worked together at Reformers Unanimous in the men's home. I was the Dean of Men, and he was my steward, and then he became Director of Operations. Many of y'all may know Mitch and his wife, Joy. Joy does all of our social media for the House of Hope. But recently I wanted to share a testimony. I had been given the opportunity to apply for a pardon for my convictions from 2006, 2008. And I had an attorney represent me pro bono for this pardon hearing. And I had the hearing just this past Wednesday. And one of my witnesses was my prosecutor. We both attend the same church now. And he spoke on my behalf, and he told the pardon board, he said, "Folks, today I'm going to ask y'all to do something that I have not done for anyone in my 31 years as a prosecutor in Florence County. And that is, I'm going to ask you to pardon this man, Brian Braddock, that I had prosecuted 14 years ago." And so for 31 years, he's never asked for a pardon for anyone, but he did that for me. And he said, outside of this man's body, he is not the man that I prosecuted. He's a totally different person. He helps other people. And if there's anyone I know that has an addiction or in need, I would tell them to call Brian Braddock. And so that meant the world to me, and my wife who was there with me. And I'm happy to say that I left there and they told me that my pardon was granted. I told Brother Burks that the first thing that went through my mind were the words of Steve Currington saying, forgiven, forgiven, cleansed. And I'm just so grateful for the RU program, all that it's done for me. I've attended RU for years and just had the pleasure of serving RU there in Rockford. Miss y'all. So grateful for this life-changing program. It has changed my life, my wife's life, the life of my children, and so many more have been impacted by the personal relationship I gained with Jesus Christ through the RU curriculum. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Brother Burks, for this opportunity. Y'all have a great day.